What is Social Security? In 1935, with the U.S. still deep within the Great Depression, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt signed into law the Social Security Act as part of his New Deal.
This Social Security measure gives at least some protection to 50 million of our citizens who will reap direct benefits through unemployment compensation, through old age pensions, and through increased services for the protection of children and the prevention of ill health.
The program was meant to act as a financial safety net for retired, unemployed, disabled, or otherwise struggling U.S. citizens and their families. This plan marked the first time in American history that a president enacted a law to provide federal assistance to the elderly. Today, Social Security is the largest government insurance program in the world. Social Security encompasses approximately 20% of the federal budget, second only to national defense and security spending. The Social Security Administration distributes approximately $600 billion each year to 50 million people in the United States. All U.S. employees are required to pay Social Security taxes, with a particular percentage of all current workers' paychecks going into the Social Security Fund. So today's workers are funding today's Social Security beneficiaries, and when they retire, they will presumably be funded by tomorrow's workers.
Historically, from 1789 until 1935, we had no Social Security system. We had no societal safety net. Great Depression changed that. And so the determination was made effective in 1935 to have the Social Security Act. We have it today. It's changed significantly from its original intent, but something else has changed. That is the demographics. American society has changed.
I was a school teacher and I didn't have any Social Security. At that time they didn't take anything out. So when it came time for retirement, I had to rely on my husband's. So I was glad that Social Security was there for me because that's what I have.
We've kind of ingrained ourselves in a form of an entitlement state. Like we have Medicare, we have Medicaid, we have people who are dependent on these programs.
I work for the state of Utah, so I have a small pension coming from there. But my main income is the Social Security.
There's a lot of families out there that depend on Social Security, and I think because they depend on it, it should be provided for them.
With the knowledge that I have about Social Security, I think it's a good thing, because knowing that if I do work for a company, that I would have, once I retire, I would have Social Security.
If I hadn't paid into insurance, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be covered. I would not have it at all.
There's a strong incentive then for members of Congress and members of the administration to try to continue to keep this as a viable plan.
However, there are many experts who question the longevity of Social Security. While benefits are secured today, as there are 5 income earners for every 1 retired American, projections estimate that at the current rate, our Social Security fund could run dry as soon as 2036. With the baby boomer generation nearing retirement, we could soon see less than 3 income earners per retiree. So the number of retired Americans may be too large to be supported by the workforce.
Based upon all the projections, we know that there are going to be problems in the future. Right? That one of the difficulties with the Social Security program is it really depends upon having a large number of taxpayers paying into that process, and we know that that group of people is going to be shrinking over time. And indeed the number of beneficiaries is going to be quite large. So we anticipate that given the amount that's being paid out, at least what's projected to be paid out, and the size of the number of people who are paying in, that we're going to run into some problems with the system as it's currently configured.
I'm interested in knowing if the program will exist once I retire. It's kind of scary to think that it might not, because it'd be nice to have an income.
For me, it's a godsend, of course. And as far as my children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren go, I think there'll still be something for them, but it may be different from what we have now.
My children, they certainly are paying in, and they should be able to have the same thing that I've had. It should be there for them. If it's handled right, why not?
It would be nice if we could have a means of, providing old people with funds to live off of and whatnot, but the question becomes, where do we get that money from?
Right now, these people who need Social Security are being supported, but I'm afraid that in the future they won't be, and we'll have a lot of poverty-stricken elderly people who don't have that safety net of Social Security.
The people who are most skeptical tend to be the youngest people, because their concern is, maybe I'm paying my taxes into the system, and by the time I get to retirement, there isn't any money there for me, and is this a good deal or not?
We have Social Security, but we also have other entitlements. Medicare, Medicaid. You could even add student loans to that if you want, and veterans benefits. So as a result, we now have an unprecedented national debt, around $14.5 trillion. And so decision is made that we're going to have to cut back, change.
Because of this debt crisis we're in, the congressmen and women have to appropriate those funds, the extra money that they might have lying around in the budget, to deal with the debt crisis. And so Social Security kind of falls prey to that.
The idea that the Bush administration promoted was trying to move people more to kind of a savings account system. So less of this system of you're depending upon future taxpayers, and more you're putting money into some account that would otherwise go to taxes, but it goes in essentially to an individual retirement account, and that money could be invested in stock market or government treasuries or something else, and would essentially function as kind of a government retirement plan.
I don't know how you'd rewrite the law, but it's evolved into something different from what it was originally.
We're going to see the age for someone to begin receiving benefits and receiving full benefits changing.
My daughter and son-in-law, they can't draw a full at 65. They have to go to 66 or 67.
Today's politicians need to start fixing Social Security, because if we don't fix it now, it's not going to be there in the future, and that's going to hurt a large number of Americans.
Part of the problem is right now it's very difficult to get anything done in Congress, that the level of polarization is such that even very reasonable proposals are attacked as being terrible and awful, and that's one of the things that clearly has to change in order to try to address these issues. In the current environment, it's almost impossible to seriously address these issues, because they are going to take a lot of work and a lot of goodwill and a lot of discussion and disagreement in order to begin to resolve them.
Although the direction of the Social Security program remains uncertain, few can deny the importance of the issue. On the 75th anniversary of the signing of the Social Security Act, President Obama spoke to the importance of the Social Security program.
75 years ago today, Franklin Roosevelt made a promise. He promised that from that day forward, we'd offer some measure of protection to the average citizen and to his family against poverty-stricken old age. That's a promise each generation of Americans has kept, and it's a promise America will continue to keep so long as I have the honor of serving as president.
So while we look to the future of this country, it becomes clear that we must deviate from our present course. That legislative action must take place in order to ensure the sustainability of the Social Security program and the financial security for all Americans.